Tak unmute mic.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammadin asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, ampunkanlah dosa-dosa kami, ampunkanlah dosa kedua ibu bapa kami dan kasihilah mereka sebagaimana mereka mengasihi kami masa kecil. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, kurniakanlah kepada kami ilmu yang bermanfaat untuk diri kami, keluarga kami, agama kami, bangsa kami dan negara kami. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, berilah kepada kami kejayaan di dunia dan di akhirat. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, jadikanlah kami orang-orang yang bersyukur. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Alhamdulillah, kita bersyukur pada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Kita dah masuk minggu yang kedua ya. Jadi saya pun tak tahu macam mana, saya dah masuk dalam bilik tu lama dah. Tapi tak dengan dengan link yang sama. Tapi tak ada orang. Ini kali ketiga masuk baru dapat tengok apa ada ni ya. Jadi mungkin line saya yang problem kot. Saya ingat awak yang tak masuk, rupanya saya tak masuk. Okey, so hari ini kita akan sambung dengan kita punya apa yang kita berhenti pada kelas yang lepas ya. Dan insya-Allah kalau sempat kita akan tengok sedikit soalan tutorial. Jadi kita tengok sambungan daripada PowerPoint ni. Okay. So kita akan sambung dengan research and development. Jadi research and development, there are two activities. The first activity is research activity, and the second activity is development activity. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, we have discussed about the research activities that day. Okay, and also the accounting treatment. Okay, and then we have also discussed about the requirement ataupun yang kita panggil sebagai recognition criteria. Recognition criteria for development project. Okay, and okay, if you can see the example here in page 529. Okay, in page 529, and that day we also have come out with the value, the value of the initial recognition ataupun initial cost, that is 7850. Okay, dah sampai situ kan 7850. Okay, so let's look at the example of development activities. It include the design, the construction and testing of pre-production or pre-use prototypes. Okay, so out of a lot of things, okay, we may know, we may understand, okay, a few. For example, the design, reka bentuk, construction and testing of pre-production, ataupun kita panggil prototypes, and also models, and then the design of tool, jigs, molds, and dies involving new technologies. Okay, the terms sound strange, okay, because we are not in industry ataupun construction industry, jadi except for those the family are involved in business, okay, you may understand about the terms used here, and then the accounting treatment, accounting treatment. If just now research activities we straight away regard as expenses, for the development we have to see whether the development fulfill the recognition criteria. Okay, so the accounting treatment, we are going to capitalize all costs incurred from the date the intangible asset first meet the criteria. It means, okay, on the day the development project meets the recognition criteria, the 6 criteria, then we start recognizing the cost. We start recognizing the cost as intangible asset. Okay, what is cost? Cost is basically all directly attributable costs necessary to create, to produce and prepare an asset for its intended use. Example of costs are, okay, the cost of materials, the services consumed. Okay, so in the development project, okay, in the creation of prototype, we need cost, we need materials. Okay, sometimes we need to hire experts. Experts. Okay, services consumed, personnel costs, for example, salaries, wages, the fees to register a legal rights, amortization of patent, depreciation of non-current asset. If we use non-current asset in the project, then we have to include, we have to include the depreciation. If we are using other intangible asset, we need to amortize the intangible asset and include the intangible asset amortization as part of the cost of the development project. And also, amortization of licenses used to generate the intangible asset. Okay, so including depreciation of property, plant equipment related to development stage. Okay, development costs that are capitalized are all costs incurred from the date the intangible asset first meets the recognition criteria, including the 6 criteria mentioned in the last pages. Costs comprise of all directly attributable costs necessary to create, to produce and prepare the asset for intended use. So kita tengok tadilah, kita senaraikan semula the cost of material, personnel cost, fees, and also amortization and also depreciation. Okay, MFRS 123 borrowing cost allows borrowing cost to be capitalized as part of development cost if it meets the criteria for capitalization. Okay, jadi kadang-kadang kita ada meminjam. Okay, to develop the project we need to borrow, and okay, the borrowing cost. What is borrowing cost? Borrowing cost is actually the interest. The interest accrued for the purpose of the borrowing, okay, may be included as part of the cost of the development project. Okay, if it meets the criteria for capitalization. Example, an entity is developing a new computer software. During the year X4, the expenditure incurred was 120,000, of which 100,000 was incurred before 1st October X4, and the balance was incurred from October to December X4. Okay, so incurred 120,000 and 100,000. Expenditure incurred 120,000, 100,000 before, and 20,000 starting from October to December. Only on 1st October was the entity able to demonstrate that the project can meet all the criteria for recognition of an intangible asset. Okay, you have spent money, you spend money starting from beginning of the year. Okay, only in October you can see the expenditure meet the recognition criteria. So we can only recognize the intangible asset starting from October, because only in October the expenditure meets the recognition criteria. So how much the cost that will be capitalized as an intangible asset? Okay, ayat tak habis lagi. And then in year X5, the cost incurred was 60,000. And then at the end of X5, the recoverable amount was 75,000. Okay, so we need to discuss about this. Okay, so first in year X4, the company has incurred 120,000, of which 100,000 is before October and 20,000 is starting from October to December. So from this statement, okay, we have to understand that 100,000 is regarded as expense. Yeah, 100,000 is regarded as expense. Why it is an expense? Bukankah dia development expenditure? Yes, development expenditure, but it did not meet the recognition criteria. Only in October it meet the recognition criteria. So the cost incurred from January to September will have to be expense of in the statement of profit or loss, amounting to 100,000. Okay, class? And then 20,000. 20,000 incurred in October until December. So this amount meets the recognition criteria and therefore recognized and capitalized as an asset. So out of 120,000, only 20,000 is recognized as intangible asset. And then in the next year, in the year X5, another 60,000 was incurred. So this amount 60,000 was also recognized and capitalized as an asset. Okay, so the total capitalized asset is 20,000 plus 60,000 accumulated in X5. Okay, in X5. So the carrying amount of the intangible asset is 80,000. That is 20,000 plus 60,000. Okay, after that, okay, what we have to understand is the 100,000 that we have written off is not going to be reinstated. It's not going to be reinstated. What is the meaning of reinstated? Okay, for example, for example, now, even though on 1st January until September, the expenditure has not met the recognition criteria. Okay, and therefore we expense the 100,000. And then, starting from October, the expenditure meet the recognition criteria. So can we reverse back the expenses? The expenses that we have expense in SOPL, 100,000. The answer is we cannot. We cannot reinstate. We cannot reinstate. We cannot reverse the 100,000 from being expense to being capitalized. Cannot. Okay, because once it has been expensed, it cannot be recapitalized. 100,000. So that is the story about 100,000. Forever, the 100,000 cannot be capitalized because we have written off. Okay, now the recoverable amount, recoverable amount of the intangible asset is only 75,000, and the carrying amount is 80,000. So when the carrying amount is greater than the recoverable amount, we have to write down. We have to write down the value so that it is equal to recoverable amount. So the difference between recoverable amount and the carrying amount of 5,000 is charged as an expense in statement of profit or loss in year X5. So the amount disclosed as intangible asset in financial statement, in particular statement of financial position, is 75,000. Okay, class, are you following?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So we go to the next one, that is subsequent measurement. Subsequent measurement. What is the meaning of subsequent? Subsequent is event happening after the initial measurement. Okay, so the subsequent measurement, for subsequent measurement of intangible asset, we have two alternatives. We have two alternatives given by the MFRS 138. Okay, the first one is the cost model, and the second one is the revaluation model. It is the same as property, plant, equipment. We have cost model and revaluation model. Okay, so for the cost model, okay, after we recognize the initial cost, after we recognize the initial cost, and after we know the number of the useful life, then we can recognize the amortization. We can calculate the amortization for the intangible asset. So if we are using the cost model, an intangible asset that has a finite life. Finite useful life means we can determine the number of years. We can determine the number of years will be carried at cost less accumulated amortization and less accumulated impairment, if any. Okay, the most important thing is less accumulated amortization. If there is any accumulated impairment, then we have to minus also. The intangible is amortized systematically over the finite useful life. Okay, so the term finite is very important here. Finite means, okay, we know the number of years. We know the number of years. The estimated useful life of the intangible asset. For the revaluation model, since a revaluation model is also allowed, okay, however, we have to read this verse, revaluation model only allowable if there is fair value in reference to an active market. So we cannot simply choose revaluation model. Okay, we can choose revaluation model only if there is fair value of the same intangible asset in active market. In active market. For example, we are purchasing software. So if we are purchasing software of course will have finite useful life. And then we may find the same software in the market. So we can refer to that market fair value ataupun market value. So if the market value go up, then we can increase the value of our intangible asset. If the market go down, we can reduce the value of our intangible asset. Syaratnya only allowable if there is fair value in reference to an active market. If there is no active market, we cannot choose the revaluation model. We have to stick with cost model. Revaluation must be done regularly. Regular, it can be 1 year, it can be 2 years. Okay, regularly. Intangibles in the same class should be revalued. So if we have similar intangible asset, for example, we have 5 softwares. We have 5 software. Accounting software ni ada 5 lah katakan. So if we revalue one software, we have to revalue the rest of the software. Because intangibles in the same class should be revalued. And then accounting treatment of surplus or deficit on revaluation as for property, plant and equipment. Okay. Accounting treatment for surplus and deficit on revaluation. So it means we have to treat the intangible asset similar to the treatment of the property, plant and equipment. If there is a surplus on revaluation, we have to debit the asset and credit the asset revaluation reserve. And if there is a deficit on revaluation for the first time, we have to charge to statement of profit or loss. Okay. If the deficit is for the second time, we have to check whether we have the balance in asset revaluation reserve or not. If there is still a balance, we have to use that balance first. If insufficient, then we have to debit the statement of profit or loss for the remaining deficit in revaluation of intangible asset. Okay, this is an example. So we are given 2 situations. The first situation is this is related to research and development. Okay, related to research and development. In situation 1, in the year 2010, there is a research cost of 80,000. So research cost ni senang je lah, expense off. In the year 2011, there is a development cost of 110,000. And the development cost do not meet the 6 criteria for recognition. So what we have to do? We have to expense off. In 2012, the development cost of 200,000 meet all the 6 criteria. So what we are going to do? We are going to capitalize the 200,000. So can we recapitalize the 110,000 and 80,000? The answer is we cannot. We cannot because the cost incurred that initially has been written off in the statement of profit or loss cannot be reinstated. Yeah, cannot be reinstated. Okay. Do you understand situation 1?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then we go to situation 2. In situation 2, the same story, research cost 80,000, expense off. 2011 also incurred 110,000 and meet all the 6 criteria. So at this time, it meet all the 6 criteria. So development cost of 110,000 will be capitalized. However, okay, belum however lagi ya. So development cost incurred in 2012 is 200,000. However, it does not meet the recognition criteria. Okay, in 2011 meet all the 6 criteria. However, in 2012, it does not meet the recognition criteria. So, the 200,000 will be written off in the statement of profit or loss together with the amount that has been capitalized in 2011, 110,000. So, altogether, in the year 2012, 310,000 will be written off in statement of profit or loss. So, can you see the difference between situation 1 and situation 2? In situation 1, 2010 and 2011 do not meet the 6 criteria, and 2012 meet the criteria. Therefore, we need to recognize the expenditure incurred in 2012. However, in situation 2, 2010 expense off, 2011 capitalized, and 2012 expense off. Okay, so kita tak boleh expense off 200,000 saja. Walaupun tadi meet all the criteria, suddenly it does not meet the criteria. Yeah, suddenly it does not meet the criteria in 2012. Macam mana boleh berlaku macam tu agaknya? Okay, in 2011, it meet all the criteria. And then in 2012, it does not meet the criteria. Because we need to meet all the 6 criteria. Okay, mungkin 2012 tu dah kurang satu dia punya kriteria yang kita tak boleh meet. Jadi disebabkan itu, okay, kita gagal. Kita gagal untuk meet all the 6 criteria. So this is important because this one is internally generated intangible. Jadi syarat dia ketat lah untuk internally generated intangible. Okay, next. Okay, under the cost model, so whenever we incur a development project and it meets all the 6 recognition criteria, we have to debit intangible asset and we credit either bank or account payable. Yeah, debit intangible asset, credit bank or account payable. Okay, sometimes we have money, then we have to use our money and therefore we credit the bank. Or if we do not have sufficient money, we may incur and the amount is not paid yet. So we record as account payable. Okay, and then when we want to amortize, the intangible asset starting from the completion of the intangible asset. Okay, debit SOPL, amortization expenses, and credit accumulated amortization. Credit accumulated amortization. Jadi kredit itu ternaik ya. Cuba tengok boleh tak nak adjust ni. Tak boleh lah sebab dia copy daripada tempat lain. Okay. So for revaluation model. In the first year, yes, it is the same as the cost model because we must start with cost model. Okay, debit intangible asset, credit bank or account payable. Okay, and then debit SOPL for amortization and credit accumulated amortization. Okay. However, okay, after we adopt the revaluation model, after we adopt the revaluation model, when we start revaluing our asset. Okay, the first revaluation. What we have to do, the first revaluation. Yeah, for example, in the first year, okay, in the first year we continue with the cost model, and starting from the end of first year ataupun beginning of second year, we adopt the revaluation model, because revaluation model is subsequent recognition ataupun kita panggil subsequent measurement. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to debit back all the accumulated amortization and credit intangible asset for whatever amortization that we have made. If the first revaluation result in a surplus, if the first revaluation result in a surplus, then we have to debit intangible asset and credit asset revaluation reserve. Yeah, we need to debit intangible asset and credit asset revaluation reserve. And if the first time is deficit on revaluation, we need to debit SOPL and credit intangible asset. That is first time revaluation. So can you visualize this?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. Next, second time revaluation. If the second time revaluation is deficit and the first time revaluation is surplus. Yeah, first time revaluation is surplus. We debit asset and credit revaluation reserve. Okay, and then second time revaluation is deficit. So what we have to do, we have to debit our asset revaluation reserve first. Yeah, debit asset revaluation reserve first. Okay, if the surplus of previous year up to the available balance in asset revaluation reserve. Yeah, for example, yeah, if last year our asset revaluation reserve is 100,000. Okay, that is the first time revaluation. Second time revaluation, 50,000 deficit. 50,000 deficit. So what we have to do? We have to debit. Yeah, we have to debit our asset revaluation reserve by 50,000. And we have to credit the intangible asset 50,000. However, if last year revaluation is surplus 100,000 and this year revaluation is deficit 150,000. So it is more than 100,000. So what we are going to do, we have to debit the asset revaluation reserve 100,000 and we have to debit the SOPL 50,000. And we need to credit the intangible asset 150,000. Okay, that is second time revaluation and deficit. So debit ARR if surplus previous year up to the available balance in ARR, or debit SOPL, deficit on revaluation, and credit intangible asset. If the second revaluation is surplus, debit intangible asset, and we need to credit SOPL if the previous year the revaluation is deficit. If the previous year the revaluation is deficit, so we have to credit SOPL. So debit intangible asset, credit SOPL up to the maximum amount charged in the previous year SOPL. And we need to credit ARR if there is still a balance. Okay. However, if the first time is surplus and the second time is also surplus, okay, nothing to do with SOPL. Nothing to do with SOPL. We need to debit intangible asset and credit asset revaluation reserve one more time. Last year, because last year is surplus and this year is also surplus. Okay, class?
Okay, sir.
Okay. If there is any question, straight away you raise your hand. Tak nampak pun kalau yang kat tangan, you sebutlah. Okay. Can you please explain macam tu? Yeah. Okay, revaluation surplus. If the fair value of the asset exceeds its carrying value, the fair value exceeds the carrying value, the surplus is credited to equity unless the surplus is due to deficit on revaluation, in which case the surpluses reverses the revaluation deficit. Ini yang kita dah tunjuk tadi tu. Ya, kalau katakan for the second time kita dapat deficit ataupun second time kita dapat surplus. Jadi kita dah tunjuk dulu contoh, baru kita cerita dia. And then decrease on revaluation, a decrease arising from a revaluation is taken to the income statement. Income statement here merujuk kepada SOPL lah ya. However, the decrease is debited to revaluation reserve to the extent of any credit balance in the revaluation reserve in respect of that asset. Okay. Kita tengok example kat sini. Hex carried out a development project that met the criteria for recognition as an asset on 1st April X14. Okay. Di April X14 dia dah meet all the recognition criteria. Cost incurred till April 14 were 4.5 million. Okay. Jadi maknanya sebelum daripada April 4.5 million. And 3 million was incurred from April till the completion of the project on 31st May 15. The fair value of the development cost as at 31st December 15 was RM 5.2 million. The economic life of the asset is indefinite. Okay, indefinite maknanya we do not know exactly how many years. We do not know exactly how many years. It is not infinite. Indefinite maknanya we do not know exactly how many years. So as far as the business is ongoing, as far as the business is ongoing, the owner of the business cannot see any problem with the intangible to generate revenue in the future. Jadi maknanya dia nampak in 5 years still can generate, in 10 years still can generate. Jadi dia tak nampak bila dia akan stop generating the revenue. So kita akan nyatakan dia sebagai indefinite. We do not know exactly the number of years of useful life. Okay. So what we are going to do, we need to discuss this. Okay, what happened to the 4.5 million? What happened to the 4.5 million? Are we going to capitalize or are we going to expense? Because 4.5 million incurred before April. Only starting from April, the company can see the intangible asset ataupun the expenditure meets all the recognition criteria. Jadi what happened to the 4.5 million? Are we going to capitalize or are we going to expense off? Yeah. 4.5 million. What will happen?
Expense funded.
Expense. Why we have to expense off?
Sebab dia sebelum 1 April tu.
Betul, sebelum 1 April. Tapi kenapa sebelum 1 April kita expense off?
Dia tak meet criteria.
Yes, because it does not meet the recognition criteria. Before April, it does not meet the recognition criteria. So any amount that has been spent prior to April X14, okay, will be expense off. Okay, next. What will happen to the next 3 million incurred from April 14 to 31st May 15? The 3 million, what will happen to the 3 million? Recognize as intangible asset. Why we recognize?
Because it met all the criteria.
Because it met all the recognition criteria starting from 1st April until 31st May 15. So, on 31st December, what is the carrying amount of the asset? The 31st December X15, what is the carrying amount of the asset?
5.2 million.
How do you get 5.2 million?
Revaluation method.
Evaluation method. Okay, initially the value is only 3 million. Initially the value is 3 million. 3 million from 31st May until 31st December. The value is 3 million only. Okay. However, the fair value of the development cost, the fair value tadi carrying amount tu based on the cost that we have accumulated. So kita anggap dia sebagai carrying amount before the fair value is 3 million. So only on 31st December 15, the company know that the fair value of the intangible, the fair value of the development project is 5.2 million. And because of the fair value is 5.2 million and the company is adopting the revaluation model, the company has to put the 5.2 million as the carrying amount as at 31st December X15. Okay, so what will happen with the difference between 5.2 million and 3 million? Because the 3 million is the original carrying amount and 5.2 million is the fair value. So what will happen with the different 2.2 million?
Surplus.
2.2 million will be regarded as surplus on revaluation, and will be included in asset revaluation reserve. Asset revaluation reserve, and of course in the other comprehensive income. Okay. So for this one there is no amortization. There is no amortization because the economic life is indefinite. Okay, we can see the difference from here. When the ini tadi finite, mana finite useful life tadi? Okay, example tapi tak ada angka tadi. Okay, untuk yang finite useful life kita ada amortization, yang indefinite kita tak ada amortization. Okay. Another example. On 1st January 11, ZZZ acquired a franchise for 400,000. The expected economic life is 8 years. The entity adopts revaluation model. On 31st December 12, the fair value was 420,000, and on 31st December 14, it was 170,000. So, walaupun dia cuma satu paragraph, it is actually a long story. So, it start with acquisition of franchise for 400,000. Okay. The keyword here is acquired. Acquired means purchase. Purchase means it meet all the recognition criteria. Bila kita kata acquired, it meet all the recognition criteria because the cost can be measured reliably. 400,000. And the expected economic life is 8 years. The entity adopts revaluation model. On 31st December 12, the fair value was 420,000, and 31st December 14, it was 170,000. Okay. Beli tahun bila? January 11. First revaluation? December 12. After 2 years. And the second revaluation? 31st December 14. So revaluation kita nampak dia buat 2 tahun sekali. Dia beli pada 1 Januari 11. The first revaluation 31st December 12. Second revaluation is 31st December 14. So actually the particular intangible asset has gone through 4 years of its useful life. That is 11, year 11, year 12, year 13, and year 14. Okay. So in year 11, the asset is recognized at 400,000 and amortized over 8 years. Do you agree? The useful life is 8 years. The cost is 400,000. Then the amortization is 400,000 divided by 8 years. That is equal to 50,000. That is in the year 11. In the year 12, it means, in the year 12, the carrying amount is 300,000. 31st December, year 12, the carrying amount is 300,000. Do you agree? $400,000 minus 50,000 minus 50,000. Okay, for 2 years. So the carrying amount is 300,000. Agree, yeah?
Yeah.
Agree.
Okay. And then the revaluation amount ataupun the fair value on that date is 420,000. Yeah, the fair value is 420,000. So we have to compare the original carrying amount and the fair value. Okay, there is a difference of 120,000. So what is 120,000? 120,000 is revaluation surplus in year 12, 31st December X12. Tahun 12, dia ada surplus on revaluation sebanyak 120,000. What about in year 13? In year 13, from 1st January year 13, the amortization will based on 420,000. Bukan lagi berdasarkan kepada 400,000 sebab dia punya carrying amount yang baru 31st December X12 adalah 420,000 and the remaining useful life is 6 years. Kita dah guna 2011, kita dah guna 2012, so remaining useful life is 6 years. So 420,000 divided by 6 years equal to 70,000. The new amortization in year 2013 is 70,000. So what is the carrying amount? The carrying amount on 31st December 2013, it is 420 minus 70. 420 minus 70, that is equal to 350,000. Then lastly, in year X14, in year 2014, in year 2014, at the end of the year 2014, the carrying amount is 280,000. How do we get 280,000? 280,000 is based on 420,000 minus 70,000 minus 70,000. Okay, so the balance is 280,000. Okay, 280,000. So in 2014, in 2014, the carrying amount is 280,000 and the fair value is 170,000. Which one is bigger, 280 or 170?
280.
180.
Of course, 280. So what will happen to this asset? 100. The difference is 110, right? So is it a revaluation surplus or revaluation deficit? Deficit, revaluation deficit. Because the original carrying amount is 280,000 and the fair value is 170,000. Whenever the fair value is lower than the carrying amount, okay, the new carrying amount is the fair value. Okay, it means we need to put the revaluation deficit. Okay, so at this time, because we have revaluation surplus, for the first revaluation, and we have revaluation deficit for the second revaluation, we can utilize the asset revaluation reserve. We can utilize the asset revaluation reserve to record the revaluation deficit. It means in 2014, we have to debit asset revaluation reserve 110,000 and credit intangible asset 110,000. Here, 110,000 debited to revaluation reserve. Any questions so far?
Tak ada, insyaAllah.
Okey. Okey, useful life and amortization. Tadi sebenarnya kita dah cerita dah. Kita dah intro dulu dengan finite life, indefinite life. Sekarang ni baru nak cerita supaya dah nampak dulu gambaran macam mana yang kita panggil finite life, macam mana yang kita anggap sebagai indefinite life. Okay. So finite life or indefinite life. If there is a contractual right, the useful life should not exceed the legal period. The useful life should not exceed the legal period. At times, the economic life could be shorter than legal life, in which the amortization should be over the economic life and not the legal life. Jadi ada dua keadaan lah. Katakan license. License, kita dapat license ataupun patent lah. Kita dapat patent, kemudian dia punya the agreement of the patent is we can use the patent for 5 years. We can use the patent for 5 years. That is the contract. But the useful life of the patent is more than that, 8 years for example. So which one is our useful life? Is it 5 years or is it 8 years? It should be 5 years. If there is a contractual right, the useful life should not exceed the legal period. So contractual right tadi adalah legal period. Jadi legal period is 5 years even though the useful life is 8 years. Because we only have the right for 5 years. Therefore we can amortize over 5 years only. After the 5 years, we have to return back the patent right to the owner. Okay. And then for the second one, at times the economic life could be shorter than legal life, in which the amortization should be over the economic life and not the legal life. For example, patent juga. Katakan patent tadi, dia punya economic life dia 4 years. Economic life 4 years. But the legal life is 5 years. Legal life means the contract is 5 years. So we cannot amortize over 5 years. We have to amortize over 4 years because the useful life is only 4 years, even though the contract life is 5 years. So kat situ ada contradicting lah di antara yang atas ni dengan yang bawah. If the contractual right is smaller than the useful life, then we use the contractual right ataupun legal period. If the useful life is lower than the legal life, then we are going to take the economic life as the useful life. Okay, useful life and amortization. Finite life. For the asset which have the finite life, amortize on a systematic basis using straight line method. Okay. Unless another method reflect the pattern or consumption more reliably. So preferably, we use straight line method for amortizing the intangible asset with finite life. Residual value is 0 unless there is a firm commitment by a third party to buy the asset at the end of the life, or there is an active market, and it is probable such a market will exist at the end of the asset life. So normally there is no residual value for intangible asset. Unless, kat situ ada unless ataupun except. Kat situ ada commitment by a third party. There is somebody that has committed to purchase your intangible asset at the end of the life of the asset. Ataupun we are sure that there is still a market for that intangible asset. So kalau ada salah satu daripada dua ni, we are very sure ataupun masih memang ada market dia, then bolehlah kita letakkan residual value. But normally there is no residual value for intangible asset. Next, annual review of useful life and changes are considered as change in accounting estimate. Okay, so you have learned in a previous FAR 270 about accounting policy, estimate and errors. So annual review of useful life, and also changes are considered as change in accounting estimate, not accounting policy. Amortization begins when the asset is available for use. Yeah, when the asset is available for use, then we can start our amortization. Okay. And then next one is intangible asset that has a legal life and there are provisions for renewal. The potential renewal are only considered in useful life assessment if renewal costs are not significant. Okey lah, kita cerita tentang pattern tadi. Katalah pattern, the first agreement is 5 years. Yeah, the first agreement is 5 years and the cost is 200,000. So kita akan amortize lah over 5 years. Tapi the owner of the pattern allow us to renew. The owner of the pattern allow us to renew the contract for another 5 years. For another 5 years. Jadi persoalan dalam kepala kita, can we put the useful life? Can we put the useful life as 5 years plus 5 years? Maknanya 10 years. Jawapan dia boleh ya, boleh tidak. Depending on the cost that we have to incur for the second agreement. If for the second agreement, okay, the cost is significant. Yeah, the cost is significant. Jadi first time tadi kita kena bayar 200,000, second time kita bayar 200 ataupun kurang sikit saja. Kurang sikit. Mungkin 180 ke 170 masih lagi signifikan. Ataupun 150 masih lagi signifikan. Tapi kalau dia kata, okay, for the second contract you need to pay only 40,000. Jauh kan? 40,000 dengan 200,000 tu jauh lah. So, kalau begitu jawapan dia, maka kita kena kata apa? Ya. Yang itu baru kita boleh consider useful life dia sebagai 10 years. Tapi kalau dia punya cost sama, ya, 200,000 kemudian second time agreement pun 200,000 juga. Jadi maknanya kita kira lah useful life kita sampai 5 tahun. Kemudian nanti tunggulah bila kita dah renew kita punya kontrak, kita kena amortize berdasarkan 5 tahun lagi. Okay, jadi bukan kita sambung lah. Kita ambil 5 tahun yang pertama, kemudian ada 5 tahun yang kedua. Example. An entity acquired the copyright of a popular song. An entity acquired the copyright to a popular song and paid 100,000. It has a firm offer from a third party to buy the copyright at the end of the 5 years at 40,000. Okay, yang ni apa tadi? Sekiranya kita pasti. Kita pasti betul-betul ada orang nak. Kan ni tadi. Residual is 0 unless there is a firm commitment. Jadi kat sini ada firm commitment. Okay. An entity acquired the copyright to a particular song and paid 100,000. It has firm offer from a third party to buy the copyright at the end of 5 years for 40,000. Okay. So, berapa tahun ni dia punya tu? 5 years. Cost 100,000. Useful life 5 years. Residual value 40,000. So, the answer we need to amortize over 5 years. The depreciable amount. Okay, jadi kita terpaksa menggunakan depreciable amount. Kalau tak nak guna ni, kita kena gunakan the amortizable amount. The amortizable amount ataupun depreciable amount will cost 100,000 less 40,000. Less 40,000. So it is equal to 60,000. And amortization will be 60,000 divided by 5 equal to 12,000 per annum. If there is no firm commitment, the depreciable amount will be 100,000 divided by 5 and the amortization per annum is 20,000 ringgit. Are you following?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Indefinite life. Intangible assets with indefinite life are not amortized but tested for impairment annually or whenever there is an indication of impairment. Useful life of an indefinite life of intangible are reassessed annually. Jadi walaupun kita ni tak nampak dia punya number of useful life, that's why kita kata dia ni indefinite life. So after year 1, reassess. After year 2, reassess. After year 3, reassess. Okay. Jadi dia boleh bertukar daripada indefinite kepada finite. Boleh jadi daripada indefinite kepada finite. Bila kita dah nampak, oh okay. Mula-mula kita tak nampak dia punya life, number of useful life. Kemudian after 3 years, kita nampak tinggal 4 tahun lagi. So kita start lah amortize. Amortize pada tahun yang keempat tu, kita amortize. Useful life of indefinite life of intangible are reassessed annually. The change from indefinite to finite life is accounted for as change in accounting estimate. The change from indefinite life to finite life is an indication of impairment. Indication of impairment. Jadi betul lah kalau dulu kita kata selama-lamanya, kemudian tiba-tiba ada jangka masa pula. Jadi indication of impairment. Example. An entity acquired the legal title of a leading brand. Okay. Jadi awak nampak perkataan acquired kat situ ya. Acquired means bila acquired saja it fulfill all the recognition criteria because the cost can be measured reliably. An entity acquired the legal title to a leading brand. The legal life is 5 years but is renewable every 5 years at a little cost. Renewable. First 5 years, lepas tu renewable lagi at little cost. The entity intends to renew it continuously. An analysis of product life cycle, market and competitive trends indicated that the product will be generating new net cash flow for an indefinite period. Okay. Jadi dia kata tadi mula-mula dia punya useful life dia 5 years. Kemudian dia boleh renew lagi. Dengan menggunakan membayar kos yang sedikit saja. Tapi analis dia kata, okay, ini sebenarnya tak ada useful life ni. Dia kata, sebaliknya dia adalah indefinite life ataupun indefinite period. After 13 years, in the 13 year, there is unexpected competition and the entity may lose 20% of the market share. However, it has evidence that the brand product will generate positive cash flow indefinitely. Okay, so what will be the discussion on this? For the first 12 years, indefinite life. Need not amortize but must test for impairment. And its indefinite life to be reviewed annually. In the 13th year, the brand tested for impairment and may need to be written down to its recoverable amount of dia kata tadi 20% loss in market, tapi dia tak nyatakan how much. How much. If the carrying amount is more than recoverable amount. Jadi maknanya kalau katakanlah contohnya lah okay, dia punya carrying amount daripada dulu masa dia beli tu ataupun masa dia betul dia beli brand tu, katakan carrying amount dia sampai sekarang ni tak berubah lah. 500,000 katakan dia beli pada tahun 1 tu 500,000, kemudian sampai tahun 12 kekal lah sebanyak 500,000. Okey, kemudian tahun ke-13 ada sedikit keraguan. Sebab apa? Sebab dia kata dah ada competition. Dan analis kata you may lose 20% of your market share. Okay. Jadi apa yang perlu dibuat? Dia kena test lah for impairment. So bila dia test for impairment, okay, let's say the recoverable amount is still more than 500,000. Yeah, the recoverable amount is still more than 500,000. So there is no impairment. But if the recoverable amount is less than 500,000, let's say the recoverable amount is only 450,000. Now what we have to do in year 13, we need to write down. We need to write down the carrying amount of 500,000 to 450,000 recoverable amount. And the new carrying amount is 450,000. Since there is evidence that the product will generate net cash inflow indefinitely, the intangible asset can continue not to be amortized. Jadi walaupun ada pengurangan dari segi market sebanyak 20% dijangka begitu, okay, tetapi bukti-bukti menunjukkan bahawa okay, produk ni masih lagi boleh dijual, ya, indefinitely. Tak nampak bila produk ni akan stop dibeli oleh pelanggan. So what we have to do, continue not to amortize. Maknanya continue to be indefinite life. Jadi maknanya kita punya accounting treatment ni berdasarkan kepada story ataupun kepada situation yang diberikan kepada kita. Ada soalan kat sini? Boleh tanya kalau ada. Ada tak apa-apa soalan? Tak ada soalan maknanya faham ya?
Faham.
Okay. Dia yang kedengaran bersuara tu 2 orang dia, yang tak tahulah, mungkin lebih daripada 2 orang. Tapi tak tahu yang lain tu Hopefully yang lain tu faham jugalah sebagaimana yang bersuara tu ya. Okey. Then kita pergi kepada impairment. Kita pergi pada impairment. Bila kita dah habis ni nanti baru kita buat soalan Jadi kita tak pasti ni boleh kita habis ke tidak untuk hari ini. Kalau dah habis baru kita boleh buat soalan Okay, impairment. Impairment. I'm sure that you know what is impairment. An asset carrying amount may not be economically recovered from future business activity. So that is an indication of impairment. Use of the asset may continue but may be insufficient to recover the current carrying value in the future. Wherever indicators of impairment exist, a review for impairment should be carried out. Where impairment is identified, a write down if the carrying amount value to the recoverable amount should be charged as an immediate expense in the income statement. Jadi kalau katakan kita menemui tanda-tanda impairment. Ya, tanda-tanda impairment. Apakah tanda-tanda impairment? Tanda-tanda impairment tu macam tadi ada sale kita drop sebanyak 20%, tapi dalam kes tadi walaupun drop 20% dia tak impact lagi. Dia tak impair lagi. Tapi kalau katakan sale drop more than 20%, mungkin drop by 50%. So itu adalah merupakan tanda-tanda yang agak kukuh berlakunya impairment. So bila begitu kita akan panggil kita punya analis untuk kita lihat kembali, okay, how much is the future sales kita. Sebab future sales kita tu adalah future economic benefit. So kita totalkan kita punya future sales ataupun net present value of future benefit tadi, kita compare dengan carrying amount of the intangible asset. If the carrying amount is greater, okay, than the recoverable amount, then it is clear there is an impairment. There is an impairment. So when there is an impairment, we need to write down the carrying value so that the carrying value is equal to recoverable amount. And the recoverable amount become the new carrying value of the intangible asset. However, to the extent that it reverses previous revaluation uplift, it should be charged directly against the revaluation surplus. Okay, jadi kadang-kadang impairment ni boleh berlaku, tetapi kemudian impairment ni dia boleh reverse balik. Impairment boleh reverse balik. Yang boleh reverse balik. Okay, saya baca semula. When impairment is identified, a write down of, bukan if ya. Write down of the carrying value to the recoverable amount should be charged as an immediate expense in the income statement. Jadi kalau katakan first time impairment, ya, maknanya kita teruslah kita charge kepada income statement. However, to the extent that it reverses previous revaluation, uplift. Katakan dulu-dulu sebelum ni kita ada revaluation. Kita ada revaluation maknanya kita ada ARR, it should be charged directly against the revaluation surplus. Jadi impairment tadi kita tak charge kepada SOPL, sebaliknya kita charge kepada revaluation surplus. Maknanya revaluation surplus kita akan berkuranglah disebabkan oleh impairment tadi. Okey, tapi tetaplah kita kena kredit kita punya intangible asset. Jadi kalau revaluation deficit, kita panggil debit SOPL ataupun debit ARR, kredit intangible asset. Okey, jadi dalam kita punya write down ataupun impairment ni pun macam tu juga. Sekiranya sebelum ni pernah ada revaluation, maka kita debit lah kita punya revaluation reserve dan kita kredit intangible. Okey, jadi maknanya intangible kita punya revaluation reserve ni dia mewakili kenaikan. Mewakili kenaikan dalam nilai. Tapi bila nilai turun, takkanlah revaluation reserve masih kekal lagi. So, apa yang kita boleh buat? Kita debit lah kita punya revaluation. Ya. So, revaluation turun, nilai aset pun turun juga. And then, impairment review. Impairment review must be carried out each year for intangible asset with indefinite useful life that are not yet available for use. Maknanya, untuk yang indefinite life tadi kan kita kena assess tiap-tiap tahun ada tak impairment. Sebab dia indefinite life kan. Kita tengok impairment dia. Indefinite life ni maknanya dia punya value tu dia tidak berubah. Tidak berubah disebabkan oleh tak ada amortization. Because of no amortization, so the value will not change. That's why we need to review every year. Whether there is an impairment. Okay. Reversal of impairment losses should be recognized under certain restricted circumstances. Jadi maknanya kita bukan simply kita boleh reverse balik kita punya impairment. Ya. Maknanya impairment ni kalau katakan nilai asal dia adalah 100,000, kemudian impaired by 20,000 tinggal 80,000. Kemudian kita nak reverse impairment. Sebab dia punya value tu naik balik. So, reversal of impairment tadi, maksimum dia 20,000 lah. 20,000. Sebab asalnya kita cuma impaired sebanyak 20,000. Jadi walaupun aset tadi nilai dia mungkin naik lebih tinggi daripada tu, kita tak boleh reverse impairment lebih daripada nilai asal impairment. Okay, kemudian derecognition. What is derecognition? Derecognition maknanya kalau kita beli aset, kita recognize. Bila masa kita nak derecognize? Bila kita jual ataupun asset retired, retirement and disposal. So when the asset retired, we derecognize. When the asset was disposed, we derecognize. Okay. When an intangible asset is disposed of, it is eliminated from the statement of financial position. Jadi adalah bekas anak murid saya pernah bagi tahu dia kerja satu tempat. Dia bekerja di satu tempat. Dia kata, ni dah kerja lama lah anak murid saya ni, dia call saya. Dia kata, doktor saya nak tanya sikit. Dia kata, dekat company saya ni, dia punya senarai aset banyak sangat. Senarai aset banyak sangat, sedangkan aset tu dah tak ada. Tapi masih ada dalam senarai. Maknanya, nilai asetnya dah tak ada, tapi dalam senarai aset tu masih ada. Dalam senarai aset masih ada. Apa maksudnya? Maksudnya dia tak properly di-recognize the asset. Sebab bila asset tadi retired. Retired maknanya stop functioning. Stop functioning ataupun stop being used. Maknanya dia retired lah. Tak boleh digunakan lagi. Ataupun dijual, maka kita kena di-recognize. Okay. This is also required when an asset is permanently withdrawn from use and has no future economic value. Walaupun dia ada lagi carrying amount, tapi tak ada future economic value. Future economic value dia kosong. Carrying amount 100,000. Jadi apa yang kita kena buat? Kita kena write off lah. Kita kena de-recognize. Okay, kita kena de-recognize. Any gain or loss arising being the difference between any disposal proceeds and the carrying amount is recognized in the statement of profit or loss. Okay, jadi ini sama dengan PPE lah. Any gain or loss, the difference between any disposal proceeds and the carrying amount is recognized in SOPL. Sama ada dia gain ataupun loss. Kalau gain, kita anggap sebagai gain. Kalau loss, kita anggap loss on disposal. An inter-reserve transfer is made for any element of the revaluation reserve relating to the asset to transfer the balance to retain earning. Okay. Jadi kalau katakan selepas jual, selepas jual tadi, sepatutnya bila kita jual, kita di-recognize dia punya asset sekali dengan kita di-recognize revaluation reserve. Jadi revaluation reserve pun kita kena di-recognize juga. Okay. Jadi macam mana kita nak di-recognize revaluation reserve? Apabila aset dijual, maka revaluation reserve tadi akan transfer kepada retain earning. Akan transfer kepada retain earning. Jadi retain earning akan bertambah lah sekiranya ada baki revaluation reserve daripada aset yang dijual. Example. Disposal of intangible asset with finite life. On 1st January 2018, ABC purchased a patent at a cost. Bukan cost at a cost. At the cost of 100,000. It is estimated useful life is 5 years. On 31st December 2019, the patent was sold for 75,000. Okay, jadi apa yang kita kena buat? Kita mula-mula kita cari dia punya carrying amount. The carrying amount, the cost is 100,000 less accumulated amortization 40,000. Macam mana dapat 40,000? 100,000. Ya.
So ada share screen ke?
Dah hilang ke?
Kat saya hilang, tak tahulah orang lain.
Okey. Orang lain diam. Okey. Betul lah tu.
Hilang je.
Hilang. Sekejap. Sebaik awak bagi tahu. Dah lama ke hilang ni?
Dah. Boleh lah. Lama juga.
Alamak, kenapa awak tak bagi tahu? Dah hilang daripada skrin dah lama. Saya bercakap tanpa skrin tadi.
Yes, ya.
Apa tak bagi tahu ya. So nampak sekarang?
Nampak.
So masa impairment tadi saya cakap tu ada juga yang menjawab tu. Masa tu belum hilang lagi.
Dia lepas daripada sebetulkan tadi.
Oh, sebentar tadilah. Okey. Saya rasa betulkan 2 kali. Jadi maknanya dah lama juga tu. Macam 5 minit dah dia kot. Okey ya. So tengok di sini. On 1st January 2018, ABC purchased a patent at the cost of 100,000. Its estimated useful life is 5 years. On 31st December 2019, the patent was sold for 75,000. So kita nak di-recognize because of disposal. So the answer, we want to know whether there is a gain or loss on disposal. Okay. So the carrying amount To find the carrying amount, we have to know the cost. The cost is 100,000 less accumulated amortization. So dia kata tadi useful life dia 5 years. Beli 2018. 2018, jual 2019. Jual 2019. Dah berapa tahun dah? January 2018 sampai 31 2019. How many years? 2 years, right?
2.
So amortization is 2 years. 100,000 divided by 5 times 2 equal to 40,000. Next, the carrying amount is 100,000 minus 40,000 equal to 60,000. And the selling price is 75,000 ataupun sale proceed. Sales proceed dia 75,000. Therefore, there is a gain on disposal of 15,000. Gain on disposal of 15,000. Okay. How are we going to record this one? Macam mana kita nak record ni? Debit apa, kredit apa? In the year 2019 tu. Dia kena debit. Of course lah. Debit apa?
Gain on disposal.
Debit. Gain on disposal, debit ke kredit?
Kredit.
Kredit. Okay. Jadi apa yang kita perlu buat? Kita debit cash 75,000. Debit cash 75,000. Itu kredit.
Gain on disposal.
Kredit gain on disposal 15,000. Tapi ada difference dekat situ kan? 75 dengan 15 tu ada 60,000 carrying amount kan? Carrying amount. Jadi sebenarnya kita kena reverse back dia punya kita reverse back dia punya accumulated depreciation semualah. Okay. So, debit accumulated depreciation. Debit accumulated depreciation. Debit cash. Accumulated depreciation tadi 40 debit 40. Accumulated depreciation. Lepas tu debit cash 75,000. Lepas tu kredit intangible asset dan kredit gain on disposal. Okay. Disclosure. So what are we going to disclose? Apa yang kita nak disclose pasal intangible asset ni? Disclosure of intangible asset. We need to disclose each class of intangible asset, distinguishing between internally generated and other intangible. So ni dalam kita punya note lah. Dalam kita punya note to the financial statement, kita kena disclose separately each class of intangible asset. Okay. In the statement of financial position, we need to disclose each intangible asset. Each intangible asset. Whether the useful life are indefinite or finite. And if finite, the useful life of the amortization rate use. Or the amortization rate use. Jadi yang ni pun kita kena tunjukkan di dalam accounting policy. Significant accounting policy. And then the amortization method used for intangible asset with finite useful life. Jadi finite life dengan indefinite life. Okay. So finite life ni dia ada useful life. Indefinite life, dia tak ada useful life. The gross carrying amount and any accumulated amortization aggregated with accumulated impairment losses at the beginning and at the end of the period. And then the line items of the intangible asset in which any amortization of intangible asset is included. Okay, sebagaimana di sebelah. So, kita nak tunjukkan kat situ 3 layer sebenarnya, 3 layer. So, the first layer is cost layer, whereby we need to state the balance brought down plus additional minus subtraction. kita akan dapat balance carried down. Kemudian layer yang kedua, accumulated amortization, balance brought down. Kemudian charge for the year, balance carried down. Dan third layer adalah carrying amount. So carrying amount ni adalah the difference between balance carried down of cost and balance carried down of accumulated amortization. So basically inilah yang kita tunjukkan di dalam notes to the financial statement. And then what else we need to disclose? A reconciliation of the carrying amount at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, showing the additional, indicating separately those from internally developed, those acquired separately, and those acquired through business combination. Jadi kita at least ada 3 kolom lah. Ada 3 kolom. Yang pertama, separate acquisition. Yang kedua, internally developed ataupun internal development. Yang ketiga, acquired through business combination. Asset classified as held for sale or included in a disposal group classified as held for sale accordance to MFRS 5. Okey, jadi ada juga intangible asset ni yang termasuk dalam kategori MFRS 5. Iaitu asset held for sale. Kemudian increase or decrease during the period resulting from revaluation. Okey, jadi ini yang paling simple sekali lah, ya. Yang paling simple sekali. Jadi untuk tengok yang actual tu, awak boleh tengok mana-mana annual report. Mana-mana annual report, cuba buka. Awak pergi cari dekat note for intangible asset. Ya, note for intangible asset. Okey, jadi saya ada beri 2 soalan tutorial. Saya ada bagi 2 soalan tutorial. Saya nak awak cuba dulu. Awak cuba dulu soalan yang apa nama soalan tu? Sekejap. Nama soalan yang bernama, okey, soalan yang bertajuk tutorial Q. Tutorial Q itu awak cuba dulu dan kita akan bincang pada kelas kita yang akan datang lah, kelas tutorial tu. Okey? Boleh kelas ni? Cuba dulu.
Boleh, sir.
Okey, cuba dulu dan kemudian kita akan bincang lah dalam kelas. So hopefully pada kelas kali ini boleh buka lah saya punya komputer tu. Nak kena pakai komputer lain, komputer yang lama. Okey, ada apa persoalan sebelum kita bersurai? Tolong sign attendance yang saya beri dalam WhatsApp group ya.
Yes, sir.
Okey, kalau tak ada apa-apa, kita akhiri kelas kita pada pagi ini dengan surah Al-As. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asri innal insana lafi khusr illa allazina amanu wa amilus solihat wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okey.
Baik,
Thank you, sir.
Okey, welcome.
Yes, sir.